Alright, you and I are diving into a high-rise office where a massive drama is unfolding inside a glass conference room right now. Outside, a pink-haired employee is dying to know who the gorgeous woman inside is. Her coworker spills the tea. It is Xiao Hai's girlfriend, and she is there to dump him. She cannot believe the girl is throwing a breakup tantrum right at work, calling her absolutely wild. Inside, the woman snaps that she is done wasting her life on a useless loser while he desperately asks why. Furious, she yells that his pathetic, miserable look disgusts her, completely stunning him. She sneers that she only deigned to date him because she thought he had some actual cultivation potential. Sure, he failed to enter a top-tier cultivation academy, but he was still from a noble heritage. But after all their time together, that legendary lineage of his remained completely dormant and useless. She blames him for wasting 3 whole months of her prime youth, making her miss out on rich, immortal heirs. Feeling utterly crushed, Xiao Hai points out that he drained his entire life savings just to buy her rare spirit stones and magical jewels. Hearing that only makes her explode with rage. She screams that the cheap trash he bought had pathetic, worthless energy anyway. She brags about the earring young Master Lai gave her instead, overflowing with energy to ward off evil, protect her body, and boost her looks. Watch closely, the pink-haired coworker outside literally smashes her mouse in absolute fury. The loud crash startles the ex-girlfriend as the employee screams at her for crossing the line. Her friend tries to hold her back, reminding her they haven't even hit their monthly work targets yet, so they shouldn't get involved in this mess. Xiao Hai speaks up to clarify, making his furious ex snap back around. He coldly demands she return everything he ever bought, her sending her flying out of her chair in pure shaking rage. She curses him to remain a pathetic loser forever, and to die a horrible, painful death. She storms out, but Xiao Hai yells after her to just mail the stuff back. Furious, she screams that she would rather throw them all in the river. He calmly asks which river, pointing out that throwing them away would be a real shame. The pink-haired girl finds him pretty interesting. Her coworker warns her to stop staring and get back to work before their terrifying manager suddenly pops out of nowhere. Right on cue, a dark figure looms behind her, asking what she is doing. It is the cultivation department manager, Zhang Jian. He demands to know if she finished her monthly goals, leaving her completely frozen. Seeing Xiao Hai slumped over, the pink-haired girl quickly explains that his girlfriend just dumped him, but he will bounce back soon. Jian stays silent. Later that day, we find him brooding right at the edge of the roof. He looks back as someone kindly asks if he has eaten lunch yet. It is manager Jian. The boss asks why he looks so down, and hands him a relaxing drink, totally puzzling him, since this old man usually hates his guts. Yet here he is suddenly playing nice. But after finishing the can, Xiao Hai feels instantly wasted. He stumbles up, throwing his arms wide, screaming that his ex ate his food, spent his cash, and then cheated on him anyway. He screams for her to drop dead, feeling instantly relieved. He never expected his cold-hearted boss to actually care this much about a lowly employee. Suddenly, his head spins and he realizes there was something inside that drink. Staring at the can, he sees the manager's wicked, devilish grin reflecting back before collapsing. Hours later, he wakes up feeling utterly crushed. Opening his eyes, he finds himself chained to the edge of a sheer cliff. A voice cackles Jian is watching him. Xiao Hai asks if there is a mistake, cutting off Jian's dramatic speech by saying he is definitely not into weird bondage. Infuriated, the boss punches him hard, snarling at him to look down and realize the absolute nightmare he is actually facing right now. Deep within the pitch-black abyss, 2 glowing monstrous eyes stare right back at him. A massive, terrifying dragon emerges from the dark, as Jian proudly offers him up as a fresh sacrifice. He promises the dragon that even if this useless kid is still unawakened, his body holds the rare spiritual roots of an ancient bloodline, making him far tastier than ordinary pigs and sheep. In return, the beast grants him a rare condensation pill, sending the greedy manager into a wild, power-hungry frenzy. With the boss gone, the dragon demands his last words. Trust me, you and I are about to see what happens next. Let us dive into this crazy story where Haye glares at a dragon and complains about its breath. He literally tells it to brush its teeth first, absolutely infuriating the beast with his sheer insolence. The beast roars that it is the Lord of Clouds, master of the 9 heavens, and ruler of the 4 seas. Plus, it spent 3,000 years cultivating in the abyss and 80,000 years soaring through the heavens. But then the legendary beast feels embarrassed. Why is a literal god getting this mad at a mere mortal? Normally, it would swallow a sacrifice whole, but now, it decides to torment Haye by chewing him up slowly bit by bit. Haye screams for it to stop. The dragon mocks his begging, but Haye warns that his athlete's foot is going to make its breath smell even more rancid. He warns that the foul stench will stick around and ruin its reputation forever. Imagine morning breath mixed with the stinky socks of an ex-girlfriend. Raging, the dragon snaps at him to shut up and chomps down. Half his body gets crushed, and while he casually mutters that it hurts a bit, his agonizing expression says it all. As the beast swallows him, his hand gets severed, revealing a strange glowing mark. A forbidden bloodline art is finally activated. Watch closely now. This light of life and death inflicts a dual curse, forcing the enemy to suffer the exact same pain and fatal damage as our hero. His body will constantly resurrect, unless the curse itself kills him. And then comes his next skill, dual annihilation. Once unleashed, both entities bound by this fatal curse are destined to perish together. Without god-tier immortal magic, there is absolutely zero chance of survival or revival. This ultimate spell is completely unstoppable. Suddenly, a harsh voice snaps him back to reality as a teacher demands to know what nonsense he is muttering. Opening his eyes, he realizes he is back in high school. The teacher scolds him to recite the basic body refinement arts, instead of rambling about forbidden curses. The instructor scoffs, wondering if the kid overdosed on cheap body cultivation pills and started hallucinating. The entire class bursts out laughing. Meanwhile, in the staff room, a teacher asks Professor Yin about the weird new transfer student he just admitted. Assuming the kid must possess some godlike hidden potential to bypass their strict standards, Yin cryptically replies that the boy has other unique assets. In truth, the professor took a massive bribe. He figures the kid will fail the first monthly exam anyway, so why not pocket the quick cash? The rest of the class treats Haye like garbage, mocking him mercilessly. Haye remains completely unfazed, sitting quietly at his desk, while wondering what kind of crazy system power the heavens actually gave him. Let us pause here. After that dragon killed him, he woke up to find his 20-year dormant spiritual root suddenly violently awakening. His ex-girlfriend's harsh words echo in his mind, reminding him that he is the final heir of a dying cultivator clan. Suddenly, a heavy boot hits his desk. This arrogant classmate tries to intimidate him, lecturing him on classroom hierarchy while demanding a weekly tax of 1 body refinement pill, 1 bottle of Payuan pills, and a dose of Gubin potion or else. The other students watch John Jabai extorting the helpless newbie. For them, it is prime entertainment. But Haye just asks why he should give him anything and why he is stepping on his desk. Jabai sneers that this entire classroom is his territory, so he can step wherever he pleases. Besides, he claims he always leaps straight out the window, unlike the pathetic weaklings who use stairs. Before walking away, he threatens that if the pills are not delivered by this afternoon, he will tie Haye to the school gate light pole to humiliate him publicly. Haye watches his feet, dangling out the window, and a sudden mischievous idea crosses his mind. Our hero slaps the bully's leg, causing him to lose his balance and crash face first onto the pavement below. The entire class crowds the window, staring in complete disbelief as the school bully faceplants hard onto the concrete. They are not too worried though, since his 100-fold refined steel body technique means he will easily survive a fall like that. A few even feel disappointed he survived, since his death would let them rank up. He grovels on the ground for a bit, then pushes himself up and screams at Haye to stay right there, because he is going to snap his legs. The green-haired kid in front warns Haye that he is absolutely dead, explaining that Jabai is a legendary bully who has never lost a fight. Plus, his family is a massive academic cultivation clan in this city, and his physical reinforcement training is at an elite level. He even whispers that the last poor student who crossed him had his entire family broken and destroyed. He warns him that running is useless, giving Haye a final friendly tip to absolutely avoid Guji Alley once school lets out. That is where they set up their deadly ambushes, but it is his only route home. You and I are about to witness a crazy showdown at Guji Alley. Alright, let's watch these 3 thugs waiting. A goon asks their leader Jabai why 3 of them need to waste time dealing with a trash transfer student. Another lackey hypes him up, saying the boss could crush this loser with 1 hand, but it is too beneath him, so the goons will handle it. Jabai chuckles, imagining the poor kid shaking in fear, desperately trying to avoid taking this dark alley home. But escapes are impossible anyway. They have got every exit completely blocked off. The bald goon gives him an eager thumbs up, praising his boss's perfect planning. Suddenly, Haye steps right into view, mockingly asking who said he was hiding. The bald goon spins around in shock. The thugs cannot believe he walked straight into their trap, assuming he just gave up and chose to die quickly. But Jabai notices the kid is completely unfazed. He starts wondering what his angle is. What if he is one of those rare martial artists who hide their power to bait enemies into a trap? Haye mocks them as cowards too scared to even corner someone right outside the school gates. Now pay attention here. He actually complains that walking all the way to this remote alley took too much effort. He tells them to bring it. Triggered 1, Lackey unleashes a brutal kick, blasting Haye into the wall and leaving a massive dent. The thugs are underwhelmed. He talked so big but went down like a total chump. Jabai sighs in relief, realizing he overthought things. Meanwhile, Haye lies face down in the dirt, covered in blood. The attacker struts over, bragging that his strike was backed by 5th-level body refinement power. With ruptured organs, Haye should be dying. Yet he looks up and casually says that did not hurt at all. He mockingly laughs that his 5th-level punch was weak, comparing the force to some absolute loser draining himself dry every night. Furious, the goon snaps. He wants to end this kid immediately. He aims to crush Haye's skull, but suddenly blood splatters everywhere, leaving him in absolute daze. Jabai and the bald goon watch in pure horror as their friend's severed leg flies past them before he hits the dirt screaming. As blood gushes, Haye bursts out laughing at him. Then, out of nowhere, a mysterious woman materializes directly in front of him. Jabai is stunned by her sheer speed. Taking advantage of her, turned back, the bald thug lunges forward to attack. Jabai screams at him to hold back. Using lethal force here will completely level the entire neighborhood. Ignored, the thug unleashes his ultimate technique, Death by Purple Gold Club, triggering a massive earth-shaking blast. Homes are utterly demolished. The bald idiot already dreads how his father is going to react to this mess. But when the dust finally settles, the bald thug freezes and Jabai's jaw drops in complete disbelief. Trust me, that giant weapon hit her directly, but she did not even flinch. Rewinding a bit. Up on a floating island beneath an ancient tree, this silver-haired woman and a white crane were playing checkers. The white crane asks his companion Lord Divine Dragon why she constantly chooses to look like a human. Divine Dragon scoffs at the Immortal Palace's silly rules, questioning why anyone would want to stay in their beastly forms. Otherwise, she warns, you end up looking ridiculous like a crane with a human body. The bird gasps in shock. She asks if his feelings are hurt, but the crane points out that she is actually bleeding. She laughs it off, claiming she is invincible and hasn't bled in 100 years. But to her absolute shock, blood suddenly starts gushing out. As the crane panics, she quickly casts a healing spell to stop the flow before instantly flying away. As she rushes down toward the mortal world, the crane frantically yells for her to report to the palace. Sprinting through the clouds, she notices a glowing mark on her hand. Using her divine sense, she realizes it is a lethal curse that even her immense power cannot break. This death curse is bound to a mortal soul below, meaning she must find that idiot to save her own life. Meanwhile, back in the alley, a glowing rectangular barrier surrounds them. With glowing magical runes covering the walls, Jabai is absolutely stunned. This mysterious woman just tanked a powerful quasi-condensation level attack without even flinching. At the exact millisecond of the blast, she deployed a shield that kept the surrounding city blocks totally undamaged. He instantly realizes her cultivation level is leagues above his own. The Divine Dragon sighs, muttering that she hasn't fought low-tier trash in so long she forgot how incredibly weak they are. Honestly, she thinks Jabai is weaker than she was when she first began training. Jabai screams at his goon to run, but before he can move, he gets obliterated. Trust me, you and I are going to love seeing what happens next. Alright, let's dive into this wild scene where our main character collapses completely blind to her insane speed. Panic sets in as she slowly closes the distance. With his legs completely useless, he knows he is finished. Suddenly, she hoists Haye into the air, genuinely shocked that someone she literally ate is somehow still breathing. That confirms that she is the dragon. She demands he lift the curse immediately, or she will end him for good. His only response, he has absolutely no clue how. Wrong answer. She repeatedly slams him into the dirt, with enough brutal force to shatter the earth itself. She screams at him to break it. Jabai watches in pure terror, realizing she even attacks allies when she snaps. Then, she suddenly coughs up blood. Splattering the dirt, she realizes something crucial. The harder she beats him, the more damage she takes herself. Not worth it. At this rate, they will just get stuck in a boring loop. She decides to head back and research a cure. But Haye yells for her to stop reviving once again. She curses this shameless magic in her head. Since she devoured him like a snack, Haye demands a little payback for his troubles. No one has ever dared to negotiate with her. Amused, she asks what he wants. His answer: immortality. Annoyed, she narrows her eyes and asks what he will do if she says no. He threatens to jump into a pool of sulfuric acid, dying repeatedly, so she bleeds to death right along with him. Furious at the blatant blackmail, she considers freezing him solid and locking him away while she takes her time finding a cure. After all, she has eternity, but Haye already has a brilliant counter-strategy for that. He dares her to try. Pissed off, a dark shadow pools beneath her, erupting in violent red flames. Instead of killing him, she tosses him a book, snapping that skipping straight to immortality is completely impossible. It is a basic cultivation manual for slow training. She snidely remarks that it perfectly suits a talentless loser like him. It might not grant godhood, but it will get him into a top university and secure his future forever. The cover reads Advanced Payment of Skills. Now watch closely, because just from the cover he knows this technique is going to change his entire destiny. Secretly, she laughs. Nothing is free, and until she can get rid of him, she will exploit every bit of him. Hilariously enough, Haye is planning to do the exact same thing. Meanwhile, Jabai is literally gluing himself to the wall to stay hidden, only to catch her staring right at him. He thinks his time is up, but she calmly states she does not waste energy crushing harmless ants. However, he must forget everything he saw. As her glowing power surges toward him, he screams at the top of his lungs, begging to live. Suddenly, his eyes snap open to his instructor shouting at him to keep his composure in the middle of the exam room. His mind is a complete fog. He can't remember a single thing from yesterday and has no idea what is even happening. The teacher announces that this is the first monthly exam of the semester, urging everyone to give it their all. Bottom rankers are in serious danger here. The academy will literally force them to pack their bags and drop out. The first physical evaluation is officially underway. For the sake of their entire futures, he commands them to move. You and I both know how unfair this is. The teachers haven't taught a single lesson yet. The exam is already here. The green-haired kid next to him chuckles, saying that is just how senior year works. All the actual material was taught in the first 2 years, so Haye should have been taking cram school. Haye is clueless. The guy explains that all real effort goes into external prep programs. This year is all about rankings, and since Haye did not register for any prep classes, he is absolutely doomed. He whispers to a nearby heavy-set classmate that the rankings are about to shift dramatically. He spills the beans that the clueless transfer student did not sign up for cram school, making them burst out laughing. He spots Jabai nearby, wondering why the brutal class bully let Haye off the hook so easily. Honestly, Jabai is wondering that too. With 2 of his lackeys dead and another bleeding out, he has a terrifying gut feeling that something truly monstrous occurred. First up is the penetration test. A massive magic barrier is set up on the field to measure their destructive power. The instructor calls Jabai up to demonstrate, clearly expecting some incredible results from his top student. Jabai hurls his spear, unleashing a devastating strike that ruptures multiple layers. The teacher proudly announces a 1-meter 5-layer concrete breakthrough. Stick around to see if Haye can top that. Let's dive into this wild scene, where Jabai, the school's body-tempering prodigy, finally shows his terrifying strength. The girls cheer wildly, but our main character ignores them. They don't get his worries, though his green-haired buddy is highly impressed. Haye asks if the score is actually good. Turns out Jabai is a massive deal. He's the only student recommended directly to Haye's Cultivation University just because of his raw physical cultivation. He explains that this test measures someone's explosive destructive power. Whether you rely on physical strength or energy cultivation, your score depends entirely on how many layers you can shatter. Most seniors can only smash through 2 or 3 layers in their first month, so Jabai's 5-layer score is absolutely dominating. The instructor calls Wu up next, the chubby guy from earlier. He steps forward and launches his ball. It hits the first layer and stalls. He desperately prays for it to push through, and somehow it barely passes. He celebrates his bare pass, but then the instructor calls the transfer student, secretly fuming that the principal let such trash into his class. As the teacher prepares to call Haye, his green-haired friend is convinced he is totally doomed. Now watch closely. Fail to break even 1 layer, and he's kicked out. His friend basically says his final goodbyes. Haye focuses his energy, his eyes glowing red, but the teacher notices he is stepping up empty-handed. He mockingly announces they have a genius who can conjure weapons out of thin air, prompting the whole class to burst out laughing. Jabai joins in, joking that with such a hidden dragon, the teacher's promotion is guaranteed, fueling even louder laughter. But to everyone's shock, he actually materializes an energy ball and winds up for the throw. He launches the projectile, and it rips through the target walls with terrifying speed and ease. The teacher stands speechless as the attack blasts through the reinforced walls, terrified it might actually pierce the school's defensive barrier. Thankfully, the attack finally fizzles out at the very last wall, leaving the instructor breathing a massive sigh of relief. Even so, he just completely shattered the entire grade's record, marking the teacher's first time witnessing that legendary palm lightning. Judging by the sheer explosive force behind that lightning, Haye's physical conditioning is on an incredibly high level. To master both physical and energy cultivation to this extreme, the kid is nothing short of a heavenly genius. Girls instantly swarm him, gushing over how handsome he suddenly looks, with some claiming his talent easily rivals the greatest geniuses of the past. He kept a low profile before, but now everyone is convinced he must belong to some massive, powerful sect. Meanwhile, his green-haired classmate is sweating bullets, remembering how loudly he laughed earlier. By afternoon, he is a nervous wreck. Haye asks why he suddenly looks like he aged 50 years in one day. The guy apologizes for being blind, offering to do absolutely anything Haye needs. But Haye is in a massive rush, bids him farewell, and vanishes like a ghost. You feel that too, right? Seeing an absolute genius hustle 10 times harder than you is the ultimate reality check. Haye sprints at full speed, absolutely furious. He just confirmed that the annoying dragon definitely had some shady intentions. She basically tricked him into practicing a ticking time bomb technique, demanding he master this black nether palm lightning immediately. Missing the deadline means severe penalties, losing his hard-earned cultivation progress, weakening his bloodline, and facing major restriction seals. His timer reads 11:05. Back in his room, Haye frantically tears through his shelves, searching for his cultivation guide. It is the book he ordered online, but because he couldn't understand it before, he skipped straight to the end. Now he desperately needs those basic steps. Ordering another physical copy is out of the question since shipping would take a whole day, and by then he'll be doomed. So he decides to look up the digital ebook, but screams out loud when he sees the astronomical price tag. The downstairs neighbors instantly yell at him to shut up, complaining they need to sleep early for tomorrow's training. Buying the physical version had already drained his wallet, costing tens of thousands, but the ebook price has somehow skyrocketed even higher. Right now he has only 8 hours 31 minutes and 24 seconds. Time is ticking away, and if he doesn't buy it right this second, a single night won't be enough to master it. But he's already broke, especially after handing 50,000 over to that sneaky old principal. He bites the bullet and buys it for 200,000, leaving his account with just 3,372 before heading to the mountains to practice basic breathing. With just 3 hours and 44 minutes left, he starts activating his spiritual energy. He spends his final hour practicing the physical movements over and over. Trees and rocks explode all around, but he beats the clock with just 32 seconds left. Trust me, you're gonna want to see what happens next. Alright, you and I are diving into a story where this guy brags it is too easy, then immediately passes out. Cut to a floating island, where thick steam completely blankets a luxurious bathhouse. The divine dragon is happily washing up when blood suddenly erupts from her back, dyeing the water red. Fuming over losing her freshly made immortal dew, she checks on him through the water. It turns out he pushed way too hard during cultivation, and literally dropped dead on the spot. Talk about totally useless. She only applied a tiny restriction during his breakthrough, but it was still enough to completely wreck him. With no other choice, she heals him. Now, flashback 1 week ago, day 1 of senior year, where G scored in the top 10 on his placement test. Staring at the bulletin board, he brags about making the elite class top 10, using nothing but basic body tempering. Naturally, he starts looking down on the honor students until a loud shout from a nearby girl startles him. She notices that Fatty is no longer dead last, because his name is sitting at the very bottom. Since nobody recognizes him, they realize he is a transfer student. And Jabai is already itching to show the new kid how brutal this place really is. Fast forward to today, Jabai notices that Haye has jumped 10 ranks since the last exam, landing right at rank 33. His lackeys call him over, because the test is starting in the gym where one terrified student is already waiting. A brutal palm strike smashes right into his face, drawing blood and hitting him so hard he breaks his neck on impact. The instructor yells for a medic to rush the kid to the clinic, hoping Dr. Song's legendary hands can still save him. Confused, Haye asks a green-haired student what this exam is even about. Learning it tests their striking power and defense. Unlike the previous armor penetration exam, this trial is Jabai's bread and butter, thanks to an iron-tempered technique that literally nobody in their class can break. Jabai steps up to face the strongest striker in school, Xiao Yikai, absolutely desperate to prove he reigns supreme. Determined to humiliate the arrogant jerk, Yikai unleashes his forged steel palm, kicking up a massive, blinding cloud of dust. He smugly claims the iron-tempered steel technique is overrated, but his eyes suddenly widen. The smoke clears, revealing Jabai completely unfazed. Mocking his rival's weak attack, Jabai strikes back, instantly knocking Ye Kai out cold. As the teacher orders a medic to carry Ye Kai away, he calls for a student named Wu, but Jabai demands to face Haye first. Haye is thoroughly confused by terms like open-source techniques and patented cultivation methods. A classmate explains, this is basic common sense, making him openly wonder what kind of school Haye actually attended for his early high school years. Haye casually mentions he went to Municipal No. 3 High. Well, that explains the massive knowledge gap. It was just a regular, completely normal high school, with 0 cultivation classes. His green-haired friend explains that open-source methods are free and public, meaning literally anyone can practice them. But patented cultivation moves are registered with the government, meaning only authorized cultivators are legally allowed to use them. If you copy them illegally, you face heavy jail time or straight-up execution. To put it simply, that forged steel palm is open source, but the 100 refined steel is highly patented. Of course, regular folks cannot crack those patented codes. They require insane training and talent. Meanwhile, the instructor casts a quick spell to patch up the shattered arena floor. Now pay attention, because as Haye steps down, Jabai faces him, his heart racing wildly just by looking at the guy. He cannot comprehend why he's so terrified, but if he can crush him here, he'll prove his true worth. Haye nonchalantly suggests that they both just strike each other simultaneously. Furious at the disrespect, Jabai screams at him to stop being so arrogant. As Haye prepares his basic forged steel palm, Jabai scoffs at the open-source move. He counters with 100 refined steel as the instructor watches. We both saw that brutal strike landing, but check this out. Jabai gets blasted backwards, smashing into the wall and leaving a massive body-shaped crater. The entire crowd freezes in absolute silence. Even the instructor's jaw completely drops. Haye started with the basic open-source palm, but the moment it landed, he layered a 100 refined steel attack right on top. Which is crazy because the Zhang family's patented 100 refined steel technique has an insanely high difficulty level. The teacher cannot help but wonder, does this kid not fear the lethal punishment for illegally practicing a patented skill? Haye casually asks the teacher to call an ambulance, pointing out that Jabai is literally stuck in the wall and cannot get down. With the teacher completely silent, we're left waiting. Alright, you and I are about to dive into a wild world where this terrifying kid can make his own teacher act like a tamed dog. He whispered a single name, the Dragon Lord. Meanwhile, Jabai woke up in the infirmary, absolutely furious at that punk. A voice beside him spoke up, saying the kid looked familiar. It was Xian. Staring closely at Haye's picture, he noted the striking resemblance to someone from his past. She asked if he knew him. Xian hinted that he did, but secretly reasoned to himself that there was no way Haye survived that ordeal. Had the Dragon Lord actually shown him mercy? Knowing the next exam would be chemistry, he asked Jabai what specific topic they would have to focus on. Jabai replied that it was poison making and toxin testing. Smirking like a demon, Jian declared they were going to have fun at a car junkyard. Jabai pushed his forged steel palm training to absolute completion. After crushing all the scrapped cars, he notified the boss, who praised his great work and immediately transferred the payment to his account. The boss had skipped buying a car crusher to save cash, giving our guy the perfect chance to earn money while cultivating. The system ordered him to finish his 100 refined steel training soon. He had landed 2,020 strikes but still needed 20 hits. He began wondering who he could fight tonight to get them. Now pay attention, out of nowhere, someone appears and asks if he's Haye, but he immediately plays dumb. He claimed the guy had the wrong person because his name was Yin Jin. Meanwhile, that class teacher from earlier suddenly sneezes. The teacher finds it bizarre to catch a cold while simply making a slideshow. The thug yells at him to stop playing dumb. The young master Zhang sent him to teach the kid a lesson. This was Zhang Ziwan, a tier 9 cultivator in the spiritual attraction realm. Haye approached him, saying he should have said so earlier. He only denied it because he thought the guy was a debt collector. Now he was ready for a fight. Jixuan finds it bizarre that the kid has zero fear, especially with a lower cultivation. By his spiritual perception, he's just entering the spiritual attraction realm. This made him wonder if the kid was actually hiding his true cultivation. Without a second thought, he punches him, sending him flying backward. He charges again, confident that the kid was just acting tough and that it only took one blow. But right as he was about to land, he was caught completely off guard. Haye stared back, daring him to hit harder. The forest erupted as they clashed, and Haye took another direct punch, followed by a massive kick. You and I both saw that smile, right? Even face down on the ground, his creepy grin leaves Zixin completely baffled. The kid was taking a massive beating and his energy was fading fast, yet that creepy expression never left his face. Eventually, he decides to end the match with an instant kill move, the third sequence. Haye takes a devastating hit to the chest, sending him crashing into a massive boulder before he collapses to his knees. Ziquan scoffs at how weak high schoolers are these days, but when he checks on the motionless kid, he realizes Haye's body is actively healing. The insane recovery speed shocks him. Even a top-tier physician in the spiritual attraction realm couldn't pull this off. He lands what should be the final strike, sending a massive shockwave of wind blasting around them. Haye grins like a maniac, realizing he survived 2,020 hits. This finally concludes his 100 refined steel training. Looking down, he grabs Zwan's leg and unleashes the black underworld palm thunder, striking him directly in the chest. But Zwan blocks it, easily mocking the attack as a basic spell. Haye just smiles and tells him to hold on tight. Prepping his other hand for the real onslaught, he unleashes the forged steel palm combined with 100 refined steel. Jig Sawan takes the direct hit and goes flying, the impact so violent that his body shatters right through a tree trunk. He manages to steady himself but immediately coughs up blood, realizing that most of the meridians inside his body have been completely shattered. It was unbelievable that a mere high schooler at the starting level of the spiritual attraction realm could force him to heal like this. He swears to beat him to death the moment he recovers, but then something else catches his attention. A lingering lightning ball is fused to his hand. Panicked, he tries to shake it off, but the energy refuses to budge. Before he can react, the ball explodes, leaving nothing behind but his shades. Haye picks them up and puts them on. The system chimes in to confirm the kill, rewarding him with a magical tool called the Dynamic Monocle, which greatly enhances his vision to track incredibly fast-moving targets. He was thrilled with the unexpected bonus. The next day, the school rankings are posted. Jabai is visibly stressed that Haye is climbing so fast, already sitting at 18th place. Worse yet, the kid easily took down all the thugs sent his way. Suddenly, a girl calls out to Haye, begging for his secret to leveling up so quickly. She offers to trade them for yuan nourishing pills, but trust me, we're left hanging as some girls secretly eavesdrop. Alright, you and I are starting with some crazy schemes from a girl named Gao Fei. Soon after chemistry class begins under their teacher, the strict Zhangqing Yan. Today they must demonstrate their lethal poison making and detection skills, vital tools for their future dangerous careers. After all, they will eventually face backstabbing, colleagues, cruel bosses, and deadly rivals. So to avoid dropping dead on the job, she warns them to take this exam seriously. Each student gets several food samples. Before the timer runs out, their goal is to identify the contaminated dish. They are ordered to swallow the safe dishes with grades based on speed and accuracy. Name the exact toxin and they will get extra credit. But Jabai had already sabotaged Haye's entire tray thanks to his second brother. He hopes Haye will not even survive long enough to graduate, let alone get a job. By mixing so many strong-smelling foods, he made sure nobody could identify the poison by scent alone. The tray is packed with stinky tofu, durian, hutunia, dumplings, and fermented bean juice. Now, watch closely if Haye tries to find the threat some other way. He is in for a rude awakening. Jabai trusts his family's master toxicologist, fully confident that even their expert chemistry teacher would never detect this custom recipe. A cocky green-haired student eagerly sniffs the dishes while a chubby classmate drops testing chemicals directly onto the food. Another girl uses actual lightning to scan the toxins. Teacher Chingan watches, deeply impressed by her elite detection skills. She then approaches Haye, noticing he is just standing there while everyone else shows off their special abilities. Jabai sneers, thinking Haye is frozen in absolute fear, with zero clues on what to choose. To him, it does not even matter what the loser eats, because his death is already guaranteed. Haye calmly reaches out to grab a dish from the floating island. Meanwhile, the divine dragon is busy fishing, though she is deep in thought. Ever since she attained godhood, existence had become incredibly boring, leaving her with absolutely nothing to do but fish. But wait, as she is lounging, her face begins to bleed. You see, 5 minutes ago, our boy ate the entire tray. Teacher Chingan is absolutely horrified. She demands to know if he is insane, warning him that this stunt could kill him. Thankfully, she anticipated reckless idiots and kept the poison doses low. It is not lethal, but he is in for some severe stomach issues. Hearing this, Jabai wears a sinister grin. He poisoned every single dish, creating a lethal dose that could kill 5 men. Instantly, Haye turns pale, bleeding heavily from his eyes, nose, and mouth. He collapses to the floor. Teacher Chingon checks his pulse only to confirm he is dead. Anxious students immediately start worrying that this fatal incident will hit the local news. Another classmate scoffs, saying it won't make headlines since he is not from an elite sect. Apparently, senior year student deaths are actually quite common. Meanwhile, the 19th ranked student is thrilled, realizing he will easily rise up the leaderboard. While teacher Qingyan worries about how this ruins her promotion evaluation, she is furious that someone dared to sabotage her exam. She immediately suspects her rival, the physical education teacher. But while her mind is racing with suspicion, Haye suddenly sits back up. She leaps to her feet, completely shocked that he is breathing. In her entire teaching career, she has never witnessed anything like this. Stunned that he played her, she listens as Haye calmly explains that all 5 dishes were laced with soul-dispersing powder. Glowing characters appear across his palm. He then confidently declares that the final toxin was the rare air-ending poison. Jabai is panicking. He was so thorough, even hiring a lethal master from the elite condensation realm to secure this kill. He ran a background check on Haye and found nothing. How on earth did a weak nobody survive a high-tier cultivation poison? Later that day, inside her private laboratory, teacher Qingyan carefully inspects a tiny petri dish. She gently channels her aura around the fluid. Analyzing Haye's blood sample confirms every single one of his answers. Clearly, her brain-dead physical education rival could never brew something this advanced. This points to a dangerous conspiracy likely crafted by a true master within the condensation realm. It took her half the night just to analyze this formula, convincing her that Haye is an absolute freak. Meanwhile, inside the mysterious immortal bookstore, Haye browses the shelves, stunned by this bizarre method of remote communication. The divine dragon speaks directly into his palm, explaining that this is his family bloodline's forbidden technique. She calls him an idiot for not knowing how it works, explaining that she linked their life points for emergency contact. And trust me, you and I would hate this painful connection. Alright, let's jump right into this. Our hero thinks gods are completely free, asking if immortals can talk to mortals. But she corrects him to humans. They are living nuclear weapons, and the immortal palace watches their every move. Since she already snuck down to Earth once, any more casual contact with humans will get her hunted down by other immortals. Still, he pushes his luck and asks where the ultimate treasures are hidden. But everything she can share is already packed into his prepaid skills, so he just needs to follow the guide. Suddenly his hands start bleeding and a female bookstore clerk catches him red-handed. She knows high schoolers face crazy pressure, but she cannot believe a kid is hurting himself in her shop, leaving her to clean up blood again. He apologizes and promises to clean the mess later. To change the subject, he asks about some books. When she asks which ones, he reveals he is a senior aiming for the condensation realm. He basically just wants some solid prep book recommendations. With almost a year left before college entrance exams, she is shocked. He is already trying to reach the condensation realm. Now pay attention to this. He asks if it is hard, making her doubt he is even a senior with zero basic knowledge. She explains that breaking through to the condensation realm during the exam basically guarantees him a spot at any top university. And if he achieves it early, he gets a direct recommendation. Muttering that kids these days dream too big without any real foundation, she hands him 3 best-selling guides. If he can master these, he is set. But he just grabs the condensation realm guide and brings it to the counter. Since he ignored her recommendations, she is totally unimpressed, but he immediately starts flipping through the pages anyway. Watching him flip straight to the end of such a complex book, she immediately writes him off as a hopeless idiot with backwards logic. The text says breaking through requires mastering either chi or physical body to level 10, along with a rare condensation pill. But the process is brutal. Spiritual energy can rampage inside the body and cause severe damage. Because of this, he needs massive amounts of high-grade healing and stabilizing medicine. It is extremely expensive, highly risky, and could easily end up killing him. He figures he just needs to prep a condensation pill at the Zhang's estate. Elsewhere, someone is furiously screaming. Jabai is screaming at a condensation realm poison master for failing to kill a high school kid. The assassin begs for forgiveness, claiming something went wrong. He begs for one more shot, promising that the boy will absolutely die this time. You and I can see Jabai is sweating because Haye ranks 10th in class, and he refuses to let this rival succeed. Giving the assassin one last week to bring Haye's head, he is suddenly interrupted by a massive crash coming from the roof. Unbelievably, Haye crashes right through the ceiling, sword in hand. But just moments ago, security at the Zhang estate was airtight. A guard patrolling the second floor suddenly spots his fellow watchman dropping dead to the ground. He frantically grabs his radio to report an intruder, but before he can even finish his sentence, he is instantly taken out. Then our hero leaps to the second floor balcony, knocking out the rooftop guards before overhearing Jabai setting the deadline for his execution. Channeling raw energy into his hand, he blasts a hole right through the floor to drop straight down. Crashing right in front of a stunned Jabai, he unsheathes his blade and drives it straight into his shoulder. This arrogant bully had absolutely no idea he messed with the wrong guy. Imagine targeting the new transfer student. Jabai realizes he almost met his maker, missing a fatal heart strike by just a few inches. Even so, the desperate villain attempts to fight back. Unleashing a powerful palm strike, Jabai tries to blast him away. In response, Haye rips his sword free to block the incoming palm, sending the villain crashing through several solid walls until he dents the last one. Suddenly, deadly needles are thrown right at Haye. Though slightly caught off guard, he skillfully deflects every single needle with his blade. Just then, the poison master lunges with a bizarre staff that has a metallic tip opening and closing like a deadly flower. He blocks the staff with his sword, but the killer presses a hidden trigger, shooting a concealed blade straight towards his eye. Dodging slightly to the side, he escapes with a minor scratch as the attacker is forced to leap back. The assassin recognizes our hero as the high school kid who miraculously survived his lethal poison. He was literally just heading out to finish the job, but the boy walked right into his trap. He boasts that the poison needle he threw earlier is not to be taken lightly by anyone. Crafted from a secret family recipe, its extreme toxicity is on another level, promising instant death for the arrogant brat. Blood drips from Haye's cheek, but his icy glare makes the master shudder. And just like that, you and I watch him vanish into thin air. Let's jump right into the action, as our main character charges at Jabai, thrusting his blade, but the coward barely dodges. He swings again, but his instincts scream. Out of nowhere, a volley of deadly needles flies his way, launched by the poison master. The assassin is furious at being completely ignored. Plus, he is baffled that his lethal toxins haven't dropped the kid dead yet. Yet the young warrior stands tall. He crushes a hidden relic. The poison master yells at Jabai to flee, promising a lethal needle screen as cover, while Jabai dives headfirst through the window to escape. With Jabai gone, the poison expert decides to show off the terrifying power of a condensation realm cultivator. Green mist erupts from the needles embedded in the wall. The kid begins coughing instantly, realizing this concentrated toxic cloud is far deadlier than the spikes. Dark veins creep across his pale skin, and he falls lifeless to the ground. The assassin laughs hysterically, mocking the boy for acting immune to toxins when he could not even survive a single hit from his ultimate technique. Suddenly, a stone statue slices in half. The boy's eyes snap wide open. He swings his blade, slicing the poison master clean. In that instant, the killer realized he screwed up. It turns out that ever since the divine dragon used her clay avatar technique to absorb his damage, she stays clean. But losing two instantly tells her the boy has run into a very tricky situation. Sensing danger, she decides to investigate. She watches him strike down his foe. The dying assassin cannot believe a condensation master like himself got bested by someone from the lowly spiritual attraction realm. Blood pools around the killer. When our hero checks his wrist, there is already no pulse. He loots the corpse for easy cash. Meanwhile, far away on a mountain road, Jabai is running for his life, panting like crazy. He is completely exhausted from fleeing the scene. Having lost his phone, he flags down a random car to call for backup, absolutely boiling with rage at that damn transfer student. He cannot believe anyone would dare seek revenge against the powerful Jang clan, vowing to assemble their elite assassins to slaughter the boy and his entire family. Suddenly, our hero appears out of thin air, coldly asking who exactly he plans to kill. The boy slashes with his sword, but Jabai dodges, activating his 100 refined steel technique to harden his skin, yet the blade still cuts his arm. Blood drips as the coward quickly backpedals to create some breathing room. Before he can recover, a glowing orb flies straight into his face and explodes, blasting him off the cliff to smash into the ground below. Watch closely, because this gets brutal. Our hero leaps down to finish the job. Paralyzed on the rocks, the coward desperately tries to intimidate him by screaming about his clan's name, but the boy does not care. He slices his head clean off, admitting that without the Dragon King absorbing the damage, he would have died 10 times already. He finds it hilarious that even at death's door, the guy still relied on the classic family reputation threat. He burns the corpse to ash, erasing all evidence. Even so, he fully expects the ruthless Jang clan to link the murder to him, proof or no proof, especially since he is still using their own signature techniques. Massive battles are bound to happen in the future, but he is totally satisfied that his sweet revenge was not in vain. Although he had to flee quickly, he still managed to loot some highly valuable treasures. I know what you are thinking, how good are these? Well, he scored 3 rare condensation pills which normally require massive sacrifices just to obtain one. He realizes just how messy and complicated the power struggles are between major sect disciples. Along with piles of gold, silver, talismans, and standard swords, he packs everything up to liquidate for hard cash later on. Instantly, the system triggers on the word sell, offering a new marketplace feature he might enjoy. Ever since unlocking advanced payment skills, these system windows keep popping up. He figures that annoying dragon must be behind it. Now it has gotten even weirder, with the system using smart marketing data to target him with personalized ads. Panicking, he realizes he needs to clear his search history fast. Suddenly, a giant wheel appears, showing techniques and artifacts, so he immediately hits the sell option. The rare blades, the poison lotus, the gold bars, and all his other looted junk are instantly sold off. His balance credits 154,178, and then the system flashes. A premium heaven opening blade is listed for 1 million points. He is outraged that after selling his entire haul, they expect him to blow it all on one weapon. He knows similar weapons sell for way cheaper in town. He calls it straight-up robbery. Sure, he can afford it, but it is definitely not worth the price. Looking elsewhere, he spots utility pants for 50,000. They are highly durable and completely tear-resistant. Even better, both side pockets function as spatial bags to store endless items, which is incredibly useful for him. He spends 100,000, and trust me, we cannot wait to see what he buys next. Alright, you and I are jumping right into his shopping spree with Boiling Blood, a premium item costing 600,000 yuan, where losing blood actually boosts his attacks. Then, he spots the Swift Eye Contact Lens for 50,000 yuan. This bad boy boosts dynamic vision by 50% to track fast targets, along with a 100,000 yuan anti-impact shirt. Since the shirt is literally tougher than he is tearing his clothes, in battle is no longer an issue. Finally, he grabs 200,000 yuan grip shoes, featuring super traction soles that stick to walls when charged with spiritual power. Of course, the strength depends entirely on his cultivation. Spending 950,000 yen total leaves him with just 4,718, practically making him weep. And while the divine dragon is smiling, she is not letting this brat die easily after putting that blood curse on her. But suddenly someone calls out for the Lord Dragon King. It turns out to be a cat reporting they finally found a method to shatter the human's blood curse, prompting her to follow it right to the altar. The cat explains that his bloodline is actually nothing special, as Haye's ancestors could only curse low-tier demon beasts. Because those weak beasts could not handle the shared damage, his ancestors usually ended up dying fast in minor skirmishes. That is exactly why no sect ever cared about his lineage, leaving him as a total nobody in the mortal world. So she demands to know how a mere mortal cursed her, a celestial being, and the literal Dragon King. The cat figures it is because when she first came down to this mortal realm, pay attention here, as the Celestial Emperor's restrictions forcibly crushed her cultivation level into the ground. Add to that the kid's absolute desperation to live, which temporarily boosted the curse limits, though it still relies heavily on his actual strength. An amateur at the spiritual attraction tier can only access a tiny sliver of her massive life force. If that tiny portion drains, he dies. With the ritual array fully prepared, the cat guides her to step directly into the center. The glowing seals activate right above her, and she screams in absolute agony as something gets ripped straight out of her. Meanwhile, back in the quiet mortal world, Haye is fast asleep as a strange glowing energy slips inside him. She looks down, realizing the blood curse has taken a physical shape. Summoning her power, she prepares to sever the connection entirely, but a sudden knock at the door stops her, revealing a royal messenger. He announces that the celestial minister is requesting her presence, leaving the cat highly suspicious that they sent an actual envoy instead of a standard message talisman. The divine dragon instantly goes on high alert, knowing this guest is bad news. Now here is the part you and I need to watch closely. She finds the empty throne and a voice suddenly sneers. A shady cultivator suddenly steps out right beside the seat. He remarks that since the emperor has been missing for eons, the throne is just collecting dust, so there is no harm in her trying it out. She just sneers, calling him out, because every single immortal knows he is the one dying to claim it. Telling him to drop those pathetic mind games, she immediately demands to know the real reason why he summoned her, earning a smug comment about her legendary hot temper. He finally reveals the meeting is about her highly anticipated application to become a High Immortal. But it was rejected, absolutely infuriating her, since she sacrificed her own lands and loyal troops just to join this palace. And she only did that because of his personal promise to promote her after 100 years. He casually explains that times have changed, with countless minor immortals currently pushing for the exact same rank. If they favor her just because of an old promise, the rest of the court would riot. He advises her to go farm some achievements and boost her power level first, but she vanishes before he even finishes his sentence. The cat is stunned to see her return so quickly. Rocketing through the heavens at breakneck speed, her face is a mask of pure rage, and her feline companion instantly realizes trouble is brewing. She blasts toward a massive cliff landing, with a colossal explosion that sends shockwaves echoing across the entire forest. Tumbling headfirst onto a boulder, the cat groans and asks if she is okay, only to get a drippingly sarcastic reply from her as she lies in the rubble. She complains about feeling restricted, leaving the cat deeply skeptical, considering she literally just vaporized an entire mountain. Her vacation is officially over, meaning it is time to start working her human puppet like a rented mule. Meanwhile, in the woods below, Haye is training hard, keeping a very annoyed bird wide awake with his constant practicing. Finally, the system chimes in to confirm his spirit attracting breathing technique is fully mastered. Now his foundation for breaking into the condensation tier is sturdier than ever. With his preparations complete, he is ready for the breakthrough, and trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens next. Alright, you and I are about to watch him unleash a godlike condensation realm as raw power shoots into the heavens. Thick smoke covers everything. As it slowly fades away, his eyes burn with a menacing red glow. This advanced power-up massively boosts his strength, mana, and health, while taking his divine sense to a whole new level. His mind is sharper than ever, and he finally unlocks exclusive realm spells, legendary weapons, and rare items. But first, he must meet the strict requirements for this new rank. He needs 1 condensation pill, 10 elite stabilizing pills, 3 bottles of spiritual extract, and 10 layers of spirit-attracting realm. He actually smiles in relief. He already has every single item ready to go. It seemed way too easy, but he spoke too soon. A sudden side quest pops up. He must clear a secret zone while suffering a brutal bleeding curse under a tight time limit. If he fails, 30% of his hard-earned cultivation and merits will be stolen as interest on his power advancement. He has no idea where this demon cave is, but pay attention here, a red magic circle suddenly glows beneath him, dragging him down. Panic sets in because he is totally unprepared, and as he plummets, a 20-minute countdown begins. He screams about how insane this is, especially with deadly spikes waiting below, so he channels energy into his limbs to grab the wall. He slides down fast, but manages to stop just an inch before those sharp tips pierce his backside. That was a literal hair-trigger escape. Even with a massive health pool, getting impaled still hurts, and that bleeding curse could trigger any second. If possible, he really wants to avoid taking damage. Suddenly, a giant metal arm shoots straight at him, but he reacts instantly and drops down to dodge it. Immediately, another massive spike blocks his path, but he slices it right in half. His speed, strength, and reflexes are off the charts. He might not have a legendary sword, but by fueling his blade with magic, he easily cuts through a stone arm thicker than his waist. That is the power of a solid cultivation base. But another attack is coming. He weaves upward in a sharp zigzag, but a massive stone hand blocks the exit. He is completely trapped from both sides. He unleashes his black nether fist core thunder and obliterates everything. Now, his clock shows 17 minutes and 36 seconds. Suddenly, multiple human-shaped stone warriors rise from the ground. These massive monsters look like heavily armored rock soldiers carrying giant hammers. You and I both know he has no time to waste, but the bleeding curse suddenly starts. Down on his knees, a soldier raises its weapon. The stone monster swings its hammer down, smashing right into something solid. It is a massive stone hand he summoned using his new advanced skill Golem. The blood loss also activates boiling blood, boosting his attack. He easily slices the rock soldier right down the middle. The system orders him to finish his Golem training by controlling it to use different attack styles on his enemies. His progress is currently at 0 out of 5, so he summons a massive fist to crush them. He obliterates one and punches the rest with his magic fist, raising it high in triumph. Meanwhile, in a dark chamber, a man named Jikian slaps a chained-up woman to force her awake. She finds herself trapped before a terrifying ritual altar, completely confused about how drinking a simple soda brought her here. She asks her boss Jikian what is happening. The man is furious because he lost money buying that expensive condensation pill, Since the dragon god ignores his offerings, he decides to sacrifice someone else to a new deity for another pill. The poor black-haired worker panics as she realizes her cruel boss is planning to offer her up. She is absolutely horrified. She worked like a slave for just 3,001 a month, and now she has to give up her life too. She screams that there is absolutely nothing about sacrifices in her employment contract. But Jikian coldly replies that she signed with a temp agency, so the company is not responsible for her fate. Pressing a sharp blade against her neck, he tells her to shut up while she begs him for her life. Out of nowhere, a massive explosion rocks the room. It is Haye holding a wooden staff and staring down the abusive manager. He proudly gives him the middle finger, having finally completed his intense stone golem training. Jikian is completely shocked. He cannot believe this kid found his hidden lair and bypassed all his mechanical guard golems. He just smiles, not surprised he is alive. Let's see what happens next. Alright, let's dive into a crazy showdown where our main character mocks his enemy, guessing someone already warned him how hard he is to kill, specifically Xian's dead brother, who just couldn't believe he got wrecked. Then he demands to know if Haye has his brother's condensation pill. Launching a sudden attack, he demands it back, not even caring how his brother died. He only helped before to save face, but now that his brother is dead, as the elder sibling, he claims absolute rights to all his left-behind gear. But he is caught completely off guard when Haye unleashes a devastating palm technique that blows his right arm to pieces. As the Bushin looks away, Jigen's lifeless body slides slowly toward the altar's dark entrance. His fresh blood spills across the floor, waking up the terrifying entity resting on the other side. Sensing a deeply sinister aura, and with only 9 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock, Haye quickly cuts the woman's chains. She instantly recognizes him, remembering how he vanished from the company without a trace, never expecting him to become this incredibly powerful. Having zero time to explain, he commands his summoned golem to carry her to safety first. She is left completely speechless as the massive golem hand scoops her up. Meanwhile, Zikian's body gets absorbed by the entity within the altar, who opens her glowing eyes, grabs a heavy sword, and steps out into the light. Now look closely. Just by her red glowing body, you and I can tell she's no ordinary monster. Haye spots her immediately. He immediately tries to sense her strength, but her overwhelming pressure alone makes him start bleeding. Extending his divine senses to scan her cultivation level only triggers a brutal mental backlash. With the exit sealed behind her, Haye wonders what nightmare Jigon accidentally sacrificed himself to. Suddenly, without a single word, she charges straight at him. He barely blocks her sword with his dagger, but the pure weight of her strike forces him to his knees, grazing his shoulder. As she swings a heavy kick toward him, he quickly blocks it using his free arm. A sudden explosion erupts, launching him hard against the cave wall, while she smoothly resets into her combat stance. Haye realizes her heavy physical strikes are intensely powerful, planning to call his golem for backup the moment she rushes in again. But before he can react, she slashes him. Far away on a floating island, 3 clay statues instantly shatter to pieces. The divine dragon watches in shock as her death substitute puppets explode simultaneously, a clear omen that her own end is near. Haye is completely baffled. He did not even see her swing, yet the deadly wound was already cut deep. Collapsing face down, he watches as the woman closes her eyes, a glowing magic circle spinning around her finger. Ready to finish the job, she aims a lethal strike right at his neck, but he barely parries with his dagger. The shockwave unleashes a massive gust of wind, and you and I can see she's already launching a follow-up strike to end him. With a quick finger signal, his massive golem hand suddenly spawns. The heavy arm slams down, but she easily dodges with a quick somersault, creating plenty of distance between them. She is slightly surprised when he counters with a swift dagger strike. Instantly, the system warns Haye of 99% damage, activating his boiling blood state. He gets hyped that they can finally duel properly, realizing her previous one-shot attack actually followed a specific sequence. So it makes perfect sense why he couldn't block it before. He unleashes a flurry of dagger strikes, which she blocks effortlessly, but then he throws a mysterious orb. She gets distracted, and the moment it hits her blade, it explodes violently. This forces her to trigger her ultimate one-shot move again. He saw it coming and was actually waiting for this exact moment. With the system warning him that her skill is already prepaid, she unleashes Celestial Annihilation. Both fighters release waves of destructive energy that clash in a massive explosion. Once the heavy dust clears, it reveals both of them still standing tall. But moments later, she collapses. Haye, on the other hand, is completely fine. She is utterly confused. She initiated the strike first, meaning it should have connected, yet he stands there completely unharmed. He mocks her, laughing that she finally spoke like a normal person since he actually thought she was mute this entire time. He explains that while she can strike early, so can he. Initially, he wanted to set up a defense against her ultimate move, but it just was not possible. It clearly demanded a far superior cultivation level than his current state. But he remembered how in their previous clash, she failed to finish him off, and immediately aimed for his neck as a follow-up. Predicting she would target his head next, he prepared a counter for that exact spot, even stealing an extra slash of his own. This drives her absolutely furious, but a glowing magic circle suddenly interrupts her. Now pay attention. Haye is warned to complete his hand signs immediately, or face terrible divine retribution. They both make a rapid hand gesture. All right, you and I are dropping right into a battle, where a panicked woman is suddenly grabbed by hands from the ground. She tries desperately to finish her spell, but our boy does not even need to stop her. He just needs to waste her time. She breaks free and continues casting, but she is way too late. Massive magic circles rain down in a devastating tribulation, blasting the area, but our guy emerges totally safe. The system announces that his prepayment for the quasi-condensation realm is complete, deducting the needed cultivation and virtue points. Boom, his cultivation levels up to the 3rd layer of the condensation realm. With new system resources unlocked, the defeated woman crawls out of the pit, only for our guy to block her path. She accepts her defeat, telling him he can kill her, skin her, or do whatever he wants. Unlike the usual cowards begging for mercy, she faces her end with absolute freezing calm. He draws his dagger and prepares to strike. She closes her eyes, bracing for the worst, but nothing happens. Now watch closely, because here is the crazy twist. He heals her, binds their health bars, and invites her to ascend together. The blood curse is carved onto Long Yin, meaning any damage she takes will now be directly transferred to the Dragon King. Back at the bath, a cat sleeps peacefully until the water bubbles up and the divine dragon suddenly rises. Startled by the sudden splash, the cat wakes right up and asks what the heck is going on. The dragon senses a weird vampire link on her, while the system alerts our boy that his prepayment skill just upgraded. He can now prepay for high-tier artifacts and elixirs, though the item tier cannot exceed his current major cultivation realm. Next day at school, Long Yin shows up wearing some very revealing clothes. Our boy turns around while Fatty and the green-haired kid stare in awe, wondering who she is. The green-haired kid teases him about his sister-in-law, making Fatty turn pale and scream that his heart belongs only to the teacher. Confused, our guy asks the girl if they even know each other. She reminds him that they literally fought days ago, and that they literally share the exact same health bar. He finally recognizes her. She completely changed her hair, which is why he was so clueless. I know what you are thinking, how did she transfer in so fast? Well, according to her, one classic trick works every time. Turns out 2 days ago, the principal received a stack of gold bars to admit her. Back in the classroom, teacher Tao announces that the small-scale tests are done, and it is time for the mock exams. For most of the class, this will be their first taste of real combat. After training hard for decades, it is finally time for them to show the true results of their cultivation. The teacher calls everyone to gather in the exam hall, starting with grade 12, class 1. Next up is class 2, then class 3, and finally class 4. Yin finds this entire test pretty interesting. Their green-haired buddy is terrified they are going to totally humiliate themselves in front of the entire grade. Our boy assures him everything will be fine, which temporarily boosts his spirits until he reveals that he is totally shameless and does not care about being embarrassed. The teacher goes over the rules. Each class has its own private exclusive combat arena. The arenas are sealed off with powerful barriers, making sure students taking the same exam do not interfere with one another. Every student fights the exact same monster, and knocking it out within 5 minutes earns them a perfect score. If they cannot score a knockout before the timer runs out, their grade is calculated by the total damage they dealt. Should things go dangerously south during the match, Teacher Joe stands ready in the center of the field to intervene. With the exam officially underway, called students step down to prepare, starting with grade 12 class 1's Xiao Jia Kang and Guowen Liang. Alongside them are Tang Long and Ryugasaki Hanako, leaving our guy wondering why students from the Ying sect are even here. His green-haired classmate explains that it is all part of a special mission from the Cultivation Education Bureau. Thanks to the top-tier sect peace treaty, almost every high school is forced to take in a few exchange students from the Ying sect. He assumed only normal schools did exchange programs, never expecting a hardcore cultivation high school to do the same. Suddenly, a long-haired girl named Ryugasaki Hanako senses something and glances back toward the crowd. He notes her sharp instincts while Yin gets annoyed that this girl is glaring at her master. She claims only she has the right to glare at her little bro, leaving their classmates stunned by their bizarre relationship dynamic. He is speechless. Stick around because this crazy combat exam is finally starting. Let's dive in. A creepy portal opens up, a massive eye glares out, and this freaky mushroom creature emerges. Teacher Jian instantly felt the terrifying energy. He was sweating because that beast was the notorious Cloud Canopy Demon Lord sealed away by the Taeyong sect. He warned Teacher Tao that using this monster for the very first exam was overkill. But Tao just laughed it off, calling him impatient and mocking him for still being a PE teacher. He bragged that if the Demon Lord's actual body were here even sealed, they would all be dead in seconds. But relax, these exam monsters are just weak clones grown directly from the Demon Lord's spores. Even though they are in the condensation realm, their power is far below the teacher's, and with suppression stones surrounding the arena, there is absolutely nothing to fear. A student throws some fire talismans, forcing the monster to jump backward. The proctor coldly announces that any student failing to inflict actual damage before the timer runs out will walk away with a flat 0. The poor kid who used the talismans could only sob in despair. Next, a student hurls a storm of rocks, but the creature retaliates with a brutal punch. Although his attack left a scratch, he gets flung straight out of the ring, resulting in an instant fail. Then the depressing scores roll and Jiangwen gets 61, Weiwan completely fails, and Chen Jianglin barely scores 68. The watching crowd is in shock over how incredibly brutal this first mock exam actually is. Not a single student topped 70, and only a miserable handful even managed to pass. People are demanding to know which psycho teacher designed this test. Meanwhile, our green-haired friend is actually feeling relieved. I mean, why feel humiliated when literally everyone else is failing too, right? But then he spots something. Teacher Jian snaps, telling Tao he has gone way too far because crushing their spirits like this will ruin their confidence. Tao just scoffs, arguing that if they cannot handle a simple test like this, they are easily the worst class he has ever seen. Suddenly, he spots something on the field. Hanako is running away from the beast, which is completely unexpected. Wait, is she heading straight for the barrier edge? He thinks she is giving up, but just before hitting the line, she leaps into the air. She is right on the edge, but she does not cross. Instead, she uses the barrier wall to spring off, building incredible momentum as she prepares to launch an attack. Now watch closely. As the monster throws a punch, she unsheaths her sword and instantly slices it into pieces. Teacher Jian is left speechless by the flawless knockout. Boom, she lands a perfect full score. The entire crowd is stunned. While everyone else is struggling to even pass, she gets a perfect score. Calling her an absolute monster, they demand to know who she is. Someone replies she is an exchange student from the prestigious Ying sect, Class 4's number 1. A mysterious samurai watches with a smug grin. He knows this is only the start, having already set up a secret extra exam. Strange mushrooms begin sprouting from cracks in the arena floor, hinting at a far more terrifying creature hiding right beneath them. The next group is called up, starting with Li Zhan from grade 12 class 1. Our green-haired guy naturally expects him to get a perfect score too, seeing as he is the top student in his class. Spotting his friend, waving his hand around, he asks what he is doing. Since his friend cannot see the floating system prize wheel, Haye just lies and says he is swatting away mosquitoes. He does not care who is number 1. All he wants is a sweet advance payment on some powerful magical artifacts. Meanwhile, a swarm of screaming fangirls cheers loudly for Junhao. Junhao is completely confident he can destroy this thing, desperate to prove that there is a massive level gap between two supposed top rankers. Suddenly, a thick black mist begins pouring out from the mushroom monster. Even Teacher Tao has no clue who created this weird variation, but Junhao remains confident he can instantly kill it regardless of its form. Glowing runes wrap around his fist as he clenches it, letting loose a devastating punch that sends the beast flying backward. Teacher Jian is shocked by his insane power. Tao proudly explains that Junhao imprints magic formations directly onto his arm to amplify his strikes, making him a prime candidate for a guaranteed spot at Peking or Tsinghua University. Still, Tao secretly burns with rage that this genius is not in his class. The impact was so destructive it literally caved in the entire ground. He smugly boasts that his strike secures his college spot and proves his superiority. But suddenly he goes completely pale, and even the watching teachers start looking deeply worried. The monster stands tall right before him. He is frozen in shock that it is still standing. Something is very wrong. He knows it is not because he messed up his stance or twisted his shoulders wrong. His form was absolutely perfect. He prepares to strike again, but teacher Jian screams in pure panic for him to run. Oh, we need to see what happens next. All right, you and I are jumping right into the action as he throws a punch only to get blasted in the gut and sent flying. He slams into the wall with brutal force. Teacher Jian rushes over to help him up, but he is already coughing up blood. Even after trying to block the impact, the internal damage is done. This deadly monster definitely should not be in this exam. He quickly grabs his phone to call for backup, because this beast's power is off the charts. As the operator asks about the exam difficulty, he begs them to send the highest-ranked teachers they have immediately. The monster charges, but someone manages to bind its feet. The proctor is furious that the beast is completely ignoring him. He chains down its arms next, but they have no idea that the creature below has just opened its eyes. The giant mushroom monster sprouts sharp spikes from its back, driving them deep into the dirt. The proctor holds the bindings tight, but watch closely here, as something underneath suddenly shatters the entire ground around him. Recognizing the danger, he gasps as the area explodes. The beast breaks free, only for a massive fireball to rain down. The monster shoots an energy blast from its mushroom cap, clashing with the fire, to trigger a massive shockwave. Sprinting out of the heavy smoke, the creature locks its eyes on the attacker, firing from the rooftop. Watching the chaos unfold from the wall, Hanako draws her blades. The samurai next to her asks what she thinks she is doing. She insists on jumping down to help, but Sakikaku of the Ryogaki sect screams, calling her an absolute fool. He reminds her that this entire test was rigged specifically to pave her way to success. If this insanely strong monster accidentally wipes out the top-ranked students, she is guaranteed a spot at elite schools like Tsinghua University, Ping University, or even Shuqian University. But Hanako refuses to use such dirty tricks just to secure a free pass. She prepares to slice that ugly monster to pieces, but suddenly she freezes in pain. Clutching her head, she screams in agony because Kaku has just activated a soul-binding curse on her. He smirks, glad he put her on a tight leash, or his father's elaborate scheme would have been completely ruined. She holds none of the ruthless, cold-blooded traits of the powerful Rugasaki family. Instead, she possesses the fatal weakness of her birthline. She is kind, honest, and gentle. He truly wonders why his father wasted so many precious resources on someone like her. You saw that coming, right? Well, an explosion on the building roof suddenly cuts him off. Teacher Tao gets blasted into the air, realizing this beast is at least at the 5th level of the condensation realm. Cursing whoever let this monster loose, he quickly deploys a powerful astral shield around his body. The creature charges with blinding speed. He cannot even track its movement, forcing him to cast a full circle barrier. With one brutal strike, the monster cracks, his shield shatters it completely, and grabs Teacher Tao by the throat. A terrifying grin spreads across its face as the choked teacher loses focus, his eyes rolling back in agony. Suddenly, a shadow moves, slicing the monster's arm into tiny pieces. Who else but our main character? Rewinding 15 minutes back, a green-haired student is shaking beside Haye in sheer terror. Haye easily notices that the poor guy is paralyzed by the heavy demonic energy. He did not think condensation-level fighters would freeze so easily from raw pressure. Meanwhile, the beast's actual power level sits at the massive 7th layer of the condensation realm. Yin senses this instantly, leaving him highly impressed by how incredibly sharp her instincts are. She explains that her own physical body is reacting, growing restless from sensing such a strong opponent. That inner battle urge is what revealed the enemy's tier. Smiling, Haye spins his selection wheel again. He sets up a massive barrier around the area to prevent any escape, fully aware that this monster is planning to slaughter everyone here. Right now, Haye is only at level 3 of condensation, but his health bar is ridiculously long. His true power is actually near level 7. Quickly, he opens up the system shop to buy weapons. Scanning the fresh unlocks, he spots the single highest tier weapon available on credit. Best of all, its special attributes are absolutely perfect for him. By channeling mana, this weapon can refine and steal the traits of other magical gear. The only catch is that the target artifact's level cannot exceed the weapon's current tier. Even better, he can imbue his own powerful skills into the blade to release them later. He buys the Cloud Ruin Guide on credit. He places it right next to his dagger, telling Yin she needs to stay on the roof as a critical backup measure. He has a strong gut feeling that this boss monster will soon attract another threat. Yin nods, but ask yourself, can those weak teachers really survive this mess? Let's find out. Trust me, you'll see how she only has an instinct for the absolute strong, completely ignoring the weak. He explained that those teachers were merely at the first tier of the condensation realm, while their homeroom teacher Tao reached the fifth. If teacher Tao had time to set up a defensive formation beforehand, he might barely survive. But in a sudden chaotic ambush, he was completely outmatched, which was exactly our hero's specialty. The weapon refinement was complete, unlocking a powerful boiling blood attribute just as teacher Tao was suffocating. When Haye arrived to rescue him, Tao was shocked to see his transfer student. Haye warned him that a barrier outside the wall was blocking everyone's escape, so he told the teacher to shatter that barrier while he handled the beast alone. The teacher took pride in his role, determined to be a true protector for his class. He stood firm, ready to protect his students. Spores erupted from the beast's neck as its severed arm fully regenerated. Haye stared in disbelief, realizing the monster could heal itself to perfect condition in a heartbeat. He figured this crazy regeneration was typical for fungus beasts, but then the monster charged forward. Pay attention here as he blocked with his blade, its fist hardened just before the second strike launched. He quickly realized the beast was compressing demonic aura over its knuckles to maximize its striking power. Another massive blow loaded up, blasting Haye backward. Fortunately, he recovered his footing before smashing into the brick wall. But in an instant, the creature closed the distance, raising its heavy fist once more. A brutal strike landed, triggering a blinding explosion. Teacher Jian watched in horror, fearing the new kid was done for. When Tao suggested they jump in to save him, Jian was left completely speechless. Tao knew Jian was the type to always keep his distance from danger. So Jian, trying to save the top student, proved his wealthy family must have pressured him. Otherwise, he would never risk his neck like this. Jian's guilty silence confirmed everything. Tao respected the transfer students' bravery, but they were powerless. Nobody in this arena had the strength to survive this. They would be lucky to break the barrier before the beast finished them off. Meanwhile, the mushroom monster relentlessly pounded the dust cloud. Jian could barely look. At this rate, the poor kid had to be beaten to a pulp. The creature grinned with sadistic joy, until Haye suddenly caught its massive fist barehanded. I know what you're thinking, is it payback time? Oh, absolutely, as his boiling blood effect finally activated. He swung his sword, sending the beast crashing across the arena. Shaking, the monster struggled to its knees only to spot a blinding light from above. It was Haye's descending blade. The beast caught it barehanded, but Haye instantly unleashed his dark sword Heart Thunder. The tip of the weapon condensed a dark sphere of energy hovering inches from the monster's face. A violent explosion erupted, leaving nothing but a severed foot as toxic spores scattered everywhere. Jian was absolutely stunned by the one-hit kill. But Haye sensed something off, looking up to spot another monster hovering in the clouds. It looked identical, except this variant had a massive eye on its cap, which suddenly detached and started spinning. The rotating cap launched a volley of spikes that transformed into missiles raining down on Haye. Haye prepared to take the hit as the explosive barrage descended, sending the terrified students into a frantic panic. With the barrier blocking the exit, they scattered blindly. Haye quickly formed a hand seal, activating his stolen golem shield formation. The students panicked, realizing the blast radius was too massive to escape in time. One of the deadly projectiles detonated right in a student's face, triggering a massive, violent chain reaction across the area. As the other missiles detonated simultaneously, the terrified student braced himself only to realize he was completely unharmed. Cheering in disbelief at their survival, they wondered who could have deployed such an incredibly massive defensive barrier. Maintaining a shield that size required an insane amount of spiritual energy and cultivation. They knew whoever did this had to be one of the year's elite prodigies. As the protective dome shimmered, Yin realized Haye was too soft, wastefully protecting classmates who didn't even have the grades to deserve saving. And those elite students would surely target him once the university exams began. Haye's magical reserves were almost drained, but the airborne mushroom cap was also spent, slowly dissolving into dust. The beast gritted its teeth and vanished, reappearing right beside Haye in a flash. He kicked his sword to deflect, jumping back before the strike landed. Stick with me to see what happens next. Trust me, you and I are about to watch a fight that completely redefines overpowered, as this monster ambushes our main character. With another massive slash, he completely decapitates the beast, forcing its body back. But in seconds, the head fully regenerates as if nothing happened. Remembering his lightning magic, Haye charges his blade with electricity to easily slice through the neck again. But since the head keeps growing back, that cannot be its weak point. He figures the vital core must be hidden in its torso. Suddenly, the monster literally unzips its own face, revealing a massive eye right on its forehead before vanishing into thin air. Haye senses the sudden burst of speed, predicting its arrival and swinging his sword, but the creature dodges and delivers a painful side punch. The brutal blow sends him flying back, spitting blood, while the monster circles him at terrifying lightning speed. It moves so incredibly fast that it leaves behind multiple afterimages, yet Haye still manages to block every single oncoming strike with perfect skill. Under a barrage of heavy punches, Haye takes several hits across his body, but he refuses to fall. Watching from the sidelines, teacher Jian is disappointed to see him losing. He honestly believed the new transfer student would pull off a miracle, but teacher Tao insists that this match was totally hopeless from the start. There is simply no way to overcome such a massive, overwhelming gap in power. Still holding his ground against such crazy odds is seriously impressive. Based on raw strength alone, this kid easily ranks in the top 10 of his entire year. Yin watches the intense clash unfold, growing impatient because he still has not unleashed the ultimate move that defeated her. Now pay attention here, this beast is moving so fast that it is nearly impossible to track its crazy burst of speed right before it strikes. Even throwing up his absolute best defense, he can only deflect a tiny fraction of the incoming damage. Having taken 150% damage, his boiling blood ability finally triggers. Locking into a powerful combat stance, he surges forward with his sword raised high. Teacher Jian gets confused as Haye stands completely still, thinking he just gave up. But then Haye releases the devastating heavenly law of annihilation. The shockwave shoots straight up toward the viewing platform, shattering the protective barrier instantly. Teacher Tao stands stunned that the barrier broke so easily when he could never shatter it despite all his efforts. Feeling completely useless as an educator, he contemplates quitting on the spot. Meanwhile, the monster is vaporized, leaving behind a rare durian fiend core. With enough time in cultivation, a skilled beastmaster can train this core to assist them in battle. The system prompts him to finish the ritual for the heavenly law of annihilation, and with quick hand seals, he completes the process. Teacher Jian is left speechless, unable to even track that final strike with his eyes. He tells Tao that with this level of power, Haye is not just top 10 material, he can easily challenge the absolute best at the top. But teacher Tao is too busy drowning in his own self-pity to reply. Later that day, Haye and Yin take a walk in the park. Haye has finally reached the 9th layer of the condensation realm, allowing him to pass advanced techniques to others. You saw that too, right? Overnight, our main character is officially trending as the school's ultimate dark horse. The rumors claim he is practically guaranteed a spot in the elite cultivation universities. Noticing him waving his hands in the air, she asks what he is doing, and he casually says he is paying his health insurance. Specifically, he transfers 30% of his hard-earned cultivation experience and points to the Divine Dragon. It turns out his auto-heal only triggers once the Divine Dragon receives his regular transaction. But suddenly, he realizes the path ahead is being completely blocked by a massive dark cloud. He watches in disbelief as the black cloud swallows the entire sky. This is the terrifying Black Abyss Forbidden Domain. Once inside, nobody can escape, and the entire area becomes completely invisible to the outside world. This deadly formation is typically used by assassins looking to silence a witness, and suddenly a kunai is thrown. Haye blocks it using his hand golem, but the weapon is rigged with a spell and explodes violently, while Yin gets trapped in dark liquid. As the girl is swallowed, Haye emerges from the smoke, actually quite impressed by their tactics. They managed to seal an explosive formation onto a kunai, and used a special combat technique to pull a target straight into an ambush. Suddenly, Hanako rushes forward, swinging her weapon in a fierce clash as Haye barely blocks the strike. The blow hits his hand, but he notices she used the flat side of her blade. Intrigued, he drops his sword. Hanako leaps back to create distance. Haye asks if she went through all this trouble just to disarm him. She reveals her father ordered her to eliminate him because he is a major threat to her college plans. And that is where we leave this wild story. You and I are going to have to wait and see if he actually leaves the country or fights back. Trust me, if he shows up at school and claims that top rank the Ying sect will never let him go. Her blade glowed. The system suddenly triggered a post-payment mission for the Weapon Cloud Ruin Guide, initiating an all-out battle for supremacy. As dark smoke slowly enveloped both of them, she frantically asked him what was happening. She leapt onto a tree branch, her eyes widening in shock. Realizing she was in an entirely different place, she jumped to a roof, completely bewildered. He explained that this was the realm of past reflections, a secret domain where you can observe old memories but never change them. The advanced blade activated instantly, connecting directly to her. Grabbing it immediately triggered the post-payment mission, forcibly pulling both of them straight into this realm of past reflections. She looked down only to find the stolen blade had vanished. He warned her that the blade's true physical form was hidden somewhere inside this secret realm. If they failed to find it, the weapon would never return to him. Now, listen closely. They heard a familiar song as a mysterious figure ran toward the house. It was a young Hanako. The moment she reached the door, she happily called out to her dad that she was finally home. Her eyes widened in pure horror. Everyone inside was dead. She screamed out for her siblings in total despair. Her mother lay there with a sword impaled in her chest. Suddenly, a figure noticed her. It was her senior brother. She was terrified to see him wearing the uniform of the enemy Ying sect. As she stammered out a question, he approached with a sinister grin. Flashback to when young Hua was just in 5th grade. She was leaping across tree branches, throwing knives with perfect precision. Every single knife hit the absolute center. Satisfied, she jumped back down to the ground. A young woman sitting on a branch praised her skill, saying she was far better. This was her older sister, Hua Qianjing. Her sister pointed out a hidden target behind another tree, and without hesitation, she instantly threw another knife. Qianjing gasped. The girl had thrown a second knife to deliberately alter the first one's direction midair. The deflected blade hit its mark. Then she launched another knife with such devastating force that it blasted a hole straight through the tree. Qianjing took a closer look, completely stunned. The young girl had somehow curved the strike from behind. Curious, she asked if she had passed. Smiling, her sister confirmed her success, and since the sun was setting, they decided to head home. The young girl happily announced their return. Her father warmly patted her head and asked how her training went. She proudly shared that she hit every single target, even the hidden one behind the massive tree. Wait, let's look closely at that guy chopping wood. That's Hua Zhang, and his swordsmanship had secretly grown incredibly sharp. Qianjing asked their father if he truly planned to teach him their family's secret iron wall blade technique. Their father admitted he was considering it. Although the boy wasn't family by blood, he had lived with them for 3 years. And judging by his behavior over those years, he seemed incredibly polite, honest, and kind-hearted. Zhang always served tea, worked tirelessly through exhaustion, and always took full responsibility for his actions. The master truly believed he was a perfect disciple, until a cold blade suddenly pierced right through his chair. Stabbed straight through the chest, the master gasped and asked why. Zhang coldly replied that he was never one of them anyway. He revealed his true birth in the Ying clan, admitting he hid his identity for 6 long years just to steal their family secrets. Now that he had fully mastered the technique, his final step was to completely annihilate their entire clan. The bleeding master warned him that the family members in the courtyard would never let him escape this place alive. A bleeding hand gripped the doorframe. It was Qianjing trying desperately to reach her father before her strength completely failed her. The father trembled in absolute agony as his eldest daughter died before his eyes. Rage consumed him. The monster had actually poisoned his entire family. Zhang scoffed, stating the Ying clan always lived by one brutal rule: master the art, slaughter the clan. He only regretted that the youngest daughter had not yet returned home from her academy. He acknowledged her rare talent, but right on cue, her cheerful voice echoed from the entrance. The master begged him to spare his little girl. Zhang told him not to worry. Since the young girl possessed a top-tier spiritual route, he planned to wipe her memories and raise her himself. But first, he promised to end the dying master's suffering. Once she reached university, he would finally harvest her spiritual root, sending her to join her father in death. By the time he finished, the master had passed away. Zhang calmly walked to the entrance to greet the young girl. "So what do you and I take from this?" He casually told her he slaughtered everyone out of pure boredom. She dropped her bag, screaming that she would kill him, throwing her knives as he just stood there. "All right, you and I are watching him block those knives and instantly recognize her omnidirectional flying dagger technique. This deadly move aimed straight for blind spots, and Qian Hui was the undisputed master of it. But against his mastered iron wall blade technique, these flying daggers were totally useless. One dagger thuds into the roof while another stops barely an inch from Zhang's eyes. Suddenly, he grabs her neck and slams her down so hard, she instantly faints right before he activates a terrifying heart-binding curse. From that day forward, she became his adopted daughter, renamed as Ryugasaki Hanako. His plan was to bring her to the Ying clan and train her well. When she woke up, she called him father right before Jung set the entire house on fire. They walked away, leaving it in ashes. Back in the present, Hanako watches the building burn. Standing there in a daze, she feels a sudden wave of fury toward Jung. Haye warns her not to interfere, but she is already moving. She swings her sword to cut him down, but the moment it strikes her blade, completely shatters. Now pay attention. Even in the past, Jung senses something behind him but tells young Hanako it is absolutely nothing. He shrugged it off as a passing stranger, and they simply continued walking away. He planned to have someone teach her the Eastern tongue. In the present, Hanako trembles and sobs, feeling utterly betrayed by the man she called father. Suddenly, the system alerts Haye that the scene has changed. This realm of memories is now a solid interactive space, tasking them with finding a key item called the Cloud Ruin Guide. Acknowledging the system, alert Haye and Hanako step inside the charred ruins of the burnt house to search for clues. She hopes to find a keepsake, and suddenly her divine sense detects a trace of something buried deep underground. Haye helps her dig, summoning a powerful golem hand to pull the items out. When she spots a blade, he tells her it belongs to her. He hands it over. She simply cannot understand why. He explains that her father left it behind to help her rediscover who she truly is, meaning it was always destined for her. He then gives her his secret blade manual. This unique manual was specifically designed to counter that annoying iron wall blade technique. When Haye asks what is wrong, she explains that this technique is incredibly tough to master, taking decades just to reach the first level. But she doesn't have decades. If she waits, Ryugasaki Shoichi will easily realize she is no longer the brainwashed puppet she used to be. But trust me, Haye has a way so she won't have to wait. Before she can even ask, he presses 2 fingers to her forehead, channeling his energy to flood her mind with secret moves and mental chants. The breaking blade technique has been successfully prepaid to her. Right after, the system alerts her that she is responsible for repaying the cost of this technique. To pay it off, 30% of her earned cultivation experience and merit points will go to Haye as interest, leaving her totally confused. Haye explains that this is the system interface, which only unlocks once she officially accepts his advance. If she declines, she still owes him interest, but the advanced power-up will be completely taken back. Without a single second of hesitation, she drops to her knees to bow. He accepts her as his disciple and bids her to stand. He jokingly mentions that as a new disciple, he doesn't have many fancy treasures ready to give her just yet, so he promises her a set of enchanted robes soon. With that, the post-payment mission for the Cloud Ruin Guide is finally completed. As the morning sun rises, Tianwei stares down at the mysterious mark etched onto her hand. Haye had explained that through this unique blood bond, they are now master and disciple, sharing one single health bar. From now on, any damage she takes will be absorbed by her master. Plus, he reminds her that her blade possesses a boiling blood effect. The more pain she endures, the stronger her offensive power scales. Suddenly, a voice snaps her out of her deep daze. Kaku warns her that their father is currently speaking to her. Shoichi tells them that even though Hanako showed a temporary weakness during the exam, he is pleased. She corrected her path, eliminated everyone in her way, and brought back such a valuable legendary sword. Shoichi is proud that his long years of raising her were not wasted. Suddenly growing cold, she tells him there is one thing she simply cannot understand and demands an answer. Kaku instantly snaps at her for ignoring proper honorifics. She dryly asks if their actions truly deserve any honorable titles. Shoichi glares, asking what she means by that. He demands to know if she is questioning whether his past actions were righteous. She mocks his talk of benevolence and wisdom. You and I know a storm approaches. Let us jump right into this. He secretly commits robbery, arson, and mass murder, making Kaku absolutely furious at her. He argued that their father did all those horrific things purely for the sect. But as she tied her hair, she shot back that they only knew superficial etiquette while lacking true righteousness. That they fussed over tiny details while completely lacking any real virtue. She secured her bun with a beautiful crescent moon headpiece. This high-grade treasure drastically reduces the amount of spiritual energy she drains when casting spells. She kept going, telling them they obsess over minor things but disregard honor-fearing power while never showing any gratitude. Shedding her outer robe, she revealed a powerful horseface magical skirt. It boosts her spiritual attacks by 30% and even repairs itself by constantly absorbing ambient energy. Seeing the condensed energy swirling in her hands, Shoi quickly drew his weapons and gripped his sword. Haye muttered how the weak must submit, while the strong act like bandits. Kaku snapped and lunged at her. But before he could even touch her, she kicked him in the face and sent him flying outside. Watch closely now. Shui realizes she knows too much, and he is done playing nice. He summoned his entire clan to assemble. They surrounded her instantly, receiving his cold order to bring her down. They rushed her all at once with a bald swordsman, charging straight at Chenny. She blocked with her sheath, kicked his head, and effortlessly sliced the next attacker right in half. Dodging midair as throwing stars flew at her, she hurled her blade, piercing the sniper directly in the neck. As he fell, the shocked crowd surrounded her, but she dove right back in to reclaim her blade. They unleashed a coordinated strike, pushing hard against her block to pin her down and end it. With her blade locked, another assassin lunged from her blind spot, aiming to run her through. Sensing the danger, she triggered a sudden burst of lightning, shocking everyone, before blasting straight up through the ceiling. An attacker searched the room, but the moment he stood beneath the hole, she cut him down instantly. As she crouched, an enemy tried to strike her, but she severed his arm and decapitated the next guy. She kept tearing through them, leaving the remaining warriors in complete shock that they were losing to a single girl. They tried to maintain their lines, but the smart ones chose to stay back and watch from the sidelines. You and I both know numbers do not mean a thing when facing a beast chosen by the sect leader himself. Even if she was an outsider who never inherited his legendary martial talents. With a sword in hand, her raw skill was second to absolutely none in this sect. Okawa Mena, one of the legendary 3 sword masters of the Ying sect, knew Chiani would keep killing until one of them stepped in. Nagano Nakayusu, another elite master of the 3, agreed completely, asking Mena why he was just standing around watching instead of joining the battle. But Mena was no fool. With the others watching, he refused to act as cannon fodder. Besides, his specialized quick-draw technique required the perfect opening, forcing him to bide his time. Soon dead bodies littered the ground, leaving Qianhui completely out of breath. She could barely stand. Seeing his perfect window, Mena drew his blade and charged. Sensing the threat, she glanced back, but in a flash, his blade cut deep, spraying her blood everywhere. The attacker grinned as he pushed her back. Nearby Yin felt a chill as Qianhui's aura suddenly plummeted. She asked Haye if he had any plans to intervene, surprised that she actually cared about the girl's safety. He assumed she would hold a grudge, especially after being trapped in that barrier earlier. But escaping was effortless for her, though they had already vanished by the time she broke free. She briefly feared he had joined the enemy, but Haye revealed his real plan while erecting a massive barrier. A shining golden dome of energy expanded, completely sealing off the entire battlefield. Yin could not understand how trapping the entire Ying sect while locking Chunhui inside with them was supposed to help. He nearly let slip that the dragon would absorb the hits quickly, correcting himself to say he would take all the damage. With his boiling blood buff active, he placed absolute trust in Shanhui to handle this. If things fall apart, he will step in, but for now he is making sure none of these bastards escape. So what do you and I think? Will she survive? Because right now, Shanhui lies drowning in her own blood. You and I are starting as Menabosa one-hit kill, only to see her rise up trembling. He literally sliced her neck, so how is she alive? Thinking back, he realizes she blocked it at the very last millisecond. Pure luck saved her, but Mena is twice as determined now as he charges back into battle. She commands spirit object control, shattering the floorboards and hurling a storm of splintered wood straight at him. But cheap tricks cannot stop his boiling blood at 30% damage. Coldly, she replies that she never meant to stop him. It was only to force an early draw. She strikes immediately, but is caught off guard when he blocks her assault. Mena sneers that even without his quick draw's opening advantage, his raw speed is more than enough to parry her. Unfazed, she triggers her breaking blade technique, phasing her sword through his block to land a deep, clean slash. Immediately, the system updates her quest progress for the ultimate blade of crushing momentum. Her mission requires using this crushing momentum 5 times during a live duel. It drains massive energy, but upon parrying it completely ignores the opponent's block to strike the target directly behind their guard. Right now, her spiritual reserves are totally empty, so she must wait to recharge before summoning her remaining swords. Ying sect masters Matsu Nagaya Yuyo and Nagano Nakayasu watch as the weakest among them is instantly wiped out. Nakayasu notices Chain's defensive blade is completely undamaged. Watch closely here, even the masters are utterly shocked by how her cultivation level spiked so ridiculously fast. In the past, Mena's quick draw technique would have easily slaughtered her a dozen times over. He suggests teaming up. Not from a lack of confidence, but because sharing the glory of killing her sounds much sweeter. Nakayasu agrees and covers him immediately, unleashing a massive sky-rending slash. Chenwei ducks low to evade the blast, but while she is down, Yuyo charges straight at her. She blocks his incoming sword, but his overwhelming power blasts her backward, shattering the wall as she flies outside. Her hands tremble violently from the sheer weight of his heavy blade, yet Yuyo presses the attack with a smug, arrogant grin. He successfully disarms her, but she instantly commands spirit object control to call her sword back into her hand. Before it arrives, he strikes again. She intercepts the blade with her telekinetic palm, but the intense pressure crushes her. Suddenly, a brutal strike to her flank catches her completely off guard. Yuyo remarks on how ruthless Nakayasu is for cleaving her in two, but Nakayasu snaps to finish her off. I know what you are thinking, she is finished. But as Yuyo tries to behead her bleeding body, he is left totally speechless. He watches in pure confusion as she stands back up, and even her torn clothes begin to stitch themselves together. He cannot believe a fatal wound that practically halved her at the waist healed up in a mere blink of an eye. Is this a healing art a mere condensation realm cultivator can possess? Meanwhile, she summons her sword back with spirit object control. Now, boiling blood is at 80%. As she steps forward, Yuyo instinctively takes a step back in pure fear. Desperate, he strikes. He does not care about her crazy healing, believing her physical body still cannot withstand his heavy blade. Once her head is severed from her shoulders, those fancy healing arts are useless. Their blades clash with immense force. Nakayasu cannot believe that someone who took a sky-ending slash to the waist can still fight like this. Even worse, she effortlessly blocks his heavy blade using only a single hand. Realizing she grows stronger as the fight drags on, he unleashes a massive barrage of multiple sky-rending slashes to end her. Yuyo is caught right in the crossfire and screams, asking if he is trying to slice him as well. Nakayasu coldly claims his sacrifice will be remembered, but Yuyo refuses to be cannon fodder and leaps away instantly. But she grabs Yuyo, using him as a gruesome meat shield. Nakayasu watches blood and debris explode everywhere in a horrific flash. As the smoke clears, she has completely vanished. Suddenly sensing her presence right behind him, he spins and strikes instantly. She bends backward to dodge the blade. Touching the ground, her depleted spiritual energy is finally fully recovered. With crushing momentum fully charged, she strikes as he desperately blocks. He admits she is insanely durable, but boasts of his superior swordsmanship. Then, her blade slices straight through his weapon. Completely blindsided, he is cleaved cleanly in half in the blink of an eye. Thank you all for watching. Please check out this next video, and I will see you guys next time. Make sure to join the Summon Club, and let's keep this awesome journey going together. Smash that like button.